What's going on? Scott DeVore here. This is another edition of DeVore Live, brought to you by DeVore Media, sponsored by DeVore Capital Group. I got my man, Wes Deason to my right, Will Reed to my left, and Big E. I'm not even going to say your full name.
Yo.
How's everyone
That's
doing?
the running meme right there. I can't say his full name.
No one can.
It's a little chilly in the office.
Yeah.
Like, I think we keep it cold so everybody stays awake because I am not the cold guy. Like, I wear shorts all the time, but it's a little chilly in here. I'm telling you.
I feel like when it's really cold out, like you just want to wear shorts. Like it just like oozes out of you.
It was something we did as fun in Colorado. At least we thought it was fun. Was freeze and wear shorts and then turn the heat up full blast. We'd even put the top down if you had a convertible and then run the heater. So that was when we were young and dumb, I guess. But I don't know. I just like wearing shorts, and it's got to be pretty cold for me to dress up.
Well, it feels like Colorado here in Florida. Now we got a bunch of topics that we're gonna hit. Man, it's the polar vortex.
Yes, it is.
We're gonna talk about 48 hours of Trump back in office.
Yeah.
Jack's Beach, just a few miles to the east of us. We're gonna talk about a house that's making a bunch of commotion in the industry. The Spite House. Roof murals. Is that the new thing in urban centers? And the latest and greatest of the Jags coaching update.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing?
Doing awesome, man.
Yep.
Doing great.
All right. So Florida has shut down.
Everybody worried they're going to not make it to work this morning.
For sure.
They shut down the airports. They shut down the bridges. I got a text
bridges
from
closed.
E. I think you almost died on the bridge.
I
Right?
did, first of all, look, I hydroplane, which it was crazy because obviously I used to live in Colorado. I've driven in snow. But coming up here, I was like, off the Big Blue Bridge, which I need to probably get the names of those bridges down pat. But anyway, coming off that, and I started swerving. I'm like, I think I'm going out of control. What? And obviously there was no one here, so I was able to get into the other lane and come back, and it was all good. So it was good.
Yeah.
But I'm good.
All right, we're gonna really dig into this polar vortex.
Yeah.
Will, you're a Jax lifer, born and raised here. When's the last time you seen weather like this?
I was 10. So that was a long time ago.
Yeah. 1920s.
That was a long time ago. Yeah, it's everything runs in cycles, and it's our turn to get a little bit of ice, a little bit of snow. I got some friends that are over in the Panhandle, and they got just carpeted with a little bit of snow yesterday and through the evening. My kids were actually hoping that we would be able to wake them up at like 2:00 in the morning and see some snow outside, but we checked, it didn't happen. So, it'll be 102 degrees before we know it, and we will be wishing for some cold weather. So I'm just encouraging everybody to take advantage of it because it won't last long.
I think most of the pictures I saw, people were just having a blast because they never get to see it around here. So
Yeah.
No, 100%.
trying to do some snow angels, even though there was no snow on the ground. It was just like a little frozen, little white choppy on the ground. There,
Did y'all stay up like anticipating, or were y'all like, whatever, I'll get up and we'll see what it is?
No, my wife is a very light sleeper. And
Okay.
so she was up because our dogs wake us up, and she saw that there was on the weather app that there was snow.
Yeah.
And like a little kid, she kept getting up out of bed, like looking out the window. She says she didn't see any.
Yeah.
But just to the west of us, I guess Tallahassee was
Yeah.
probably the
4 or 5
closest to
inches,
us
yeah.
that got some
They got a
real
record.
accumulation.
Yeah.
record 3 to 6 inches.
Yeah.
More than they've ever gotten before. So that's crazy.
For sure. It definitely was hard to sleep last night because I was like, man, I've been down to see snow for a while, and it definitely it was a fail this morning. I was like, like around 7, 8, you're looking and you're hoping that the rain would turn into crystals or whatever. So we're all out there and we're like, oh, we saw one. Like, it was crazy. You know what I mean? Being kids again. But
You were just hoping for a snow day.
Yeah, for real.
But, bring your work home and just stay at home like kids. They call the kids. The airport shut down. Last night, everybody's calling. Oh, we got to cancel this. We got to cancel. I'm going, what? This is not winter. This is nothing. This is crazy. So I don't know. I don't get it. But
It's like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it is like perspective, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of like when the hurricanes come. You have some people that just take it to the extreme, and others are like, yeah, it's just another storm,
Yeah.
Hey, you got to be smart. I mean, for our business, we had to be smart. We had to think because, you can't install shingles when it's, freezing out.
Yeah.
So we had to call, we had to make some decisions early on this week. So you do have to take it somewhat serious depending on what business you're in, what you're doing. Obviously, be safe out there. People can't drive when it rains, let alone if it got a little bit icy out there. All right?
100%.
I'm just saying. So, just in our business, you shouldn't install if it's going to get anywhere under 40 degrees. Shingles aren't going to seal. You're going to, create long-term problems. So we had to make some decisions early this week. So you gotta know what's coming. You got to be smart. I mean, I saw what Donna Deegan was on last night, and she was, they were doing emergency response. I mean, they had it all laid out. It was quite the ordeal. I guess I can understand it, because if it did snow here, the last time it did or whatever, people freaked out, and it was like the city was shut down for days. It was, I saw pictures. That's all I know. It was crazy.
Yeah, Jax always seems to miss out on the storm events. Like, we get close,
man.
for better or worse. We just miss out on the
Hurricanes.
hurricanes. We miss out on the snow, but it probably is a good thing.
But I did get the best. I saw the best Trump meme for the winter storm across the country. This is the best. It cracked me up. I was laughing for a long time. So it said, Trump solves global warming on day one, because the whole country is like ice cold. So there you go. Trump day one already solved global warming. I love it. Yeah, that cracks me up. That was great.
Well, Wes, that's a great segue, because we're going to talk about 48 hours of Trump. President number 47. Trump is back in the office. A lot has happened.
Killing the game already.
I can't even believe it's already been 40 hours. So let's kind of talk about, some of the key things. Obviously, a lot of people have been commenting on the inauguration, everything that's happened. We're going to try to take it to kind of the local market and how it affects us. But kind of the big things was the withdrawing U.S. from a lot of the worldwide agencies, the WHO. They're ending the DEI, the ESG, all those things, the 1,500 plus pardons, a lot of things, and then the market, how the market has responded so far. Well, what do you think so far in these first couple days?
I like what President Trump said right after he swore in. He says, we're just going to use common sense.
What a concept.
It's not that complicated, but common sense is very uncommon in the world in which we live in today. When you just look at mathematically speaking, withdrawing from the WHO, Trump said, we spent $500 million. Okay, well, we don't have $500 million to spend, first off. And when you look from a population standpoint, China, 1.4 billion, right? Paid like 39 million to the WHO. We have 350-ish million citizens, and we paid 500 million, right?
Yeah.
Just the level of, we talk equality and everything being equal. Like we're not. Like, we are continuing to go into debt to finance other organizations that do not have our best interest at heart. So I think when you jump in, I know we're going to use a little common sense, and we're going to be reasonable about our involvement. We're just not going to lay down, And so I think, that's just one instance where I think we're going to see some positive change, and the rest of the world will not be able to continue to use the American taxpayer as an ATM machine.
For sure. Yeah. At least for 4 years.
At least.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If everything goes right. I mean, locally, or just even personally, the first year Trump was in office, I mean, they say the S&P rose like 20%. I know for the last 4 years, my portfolio did not go up. It went the other direction, and is just now starting to come back to pre-Biden years of, his policies and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how long it's going to take, I'm sure there's going to be some great volatility. They still don't know what's going to go on with tariffs. Tariffs even affect our business depending on what they do. I think there's a lot of confusion on tariffs. Everybody just thinks automatically that, he's going to tariff everything that comes into the country. I don't think that's the way exactly it's set up, and then that automatically is going to produce higher prices. So I think there's got to be a lot of different investigation there. But he's smart. And I think he's got a lot of smart people around him. So, I trust that it's going to work out in our favor. Things are going to go in the right direction.
Yeah. I think the knock on Trump, and maybe this is for every president, is all the campaign promises that he made when in his first term. A lot of people were like, he didn't really deliver on all those things. Sure. But just coming in day one, pretty much most of the big things have not, almost 90+% of the big things he's already taken action on.
Yeah, sure.
And so he's definitely delivering. He's only in here for one more term for 4 years. It's a little bit different now. So, he's not trying to, be reelected or anything. So he can just go all in on, exactly what he needs to do to make this country better.
What's incredible though is, man, Patrick David, I think he posted this on Instagram, but he talked about, man, day one, he's already doing what what he said he's going to do. And, you know, he referred it as, man, that's a person of integrity. That's a person that he doesn't, despite all the hate and the backlash. And what's crazy is his inauguration speech was wild. Like how he was so direct in the face of everybody that was like right there. I'm like, if I was the other party, I would have got up and walked out. It was like
trying to keep smiles on your face the whole time. Going, man,
literally, but he is like
right now,
torching everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that's incredible is, man, these next 4 years will be prosperous years. And obviously, as business leaders and market leaders, what do y'all think to invest in? It's a good time to invest. You know, let's talk about investments and talk about the stock market.
Yeah, I would say the tech stocks. I mean, every major tech CEO was at the inauguration. From Bezos to Zuck to Musk, all these guys. Yeah. And so obviously just the world we're in, technology is just going to be everything that, you know, that we do.
Well, the AI announcement that he made yesterday, that guy came in and said, we're going to invest $500 billion into, you know, into the tech, into AI, into what you're doing. We would not have done this. We were waiting to see if you got, you know, elected, because we would not have done this if not. And it's just like, okay, you know, so yeah, AI is going to be huge, you know, as far as jumping in, if you're thinking of, you know, and the all-in crazy cryptocurrencies. I don't know how much you guys are into that. I like following it. I was in on it way early and got on some platforms that did not last. And so, you know, that kind of made me gun shy for a while, and I'm still kicking myself in the teeth because I was looking at Bitcoin when it was like $1.10, you know, and I could have, you know, had one and been all right, you know. So, but you know, all these stupid, crazy crypto coins out there, you know, you got every crazy man out there with $1,000 and a dream to be a billionaire going into crypto right now, trying to buy this stuff up. So that's going to be crazy to watch and see what really solidifies out of that. There's a banking guy came out yesterday and said that, you know, based with Trump being in office and stuff, they're absolutely going to be going into the direction of taking payments through cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. So it's here to stay. It's just still very crazy and volatile. But, you know, Bitcoin was $100,000 right now. You know, could have jumped in a long time ago, been all right.
Yeah.
Gas and oil for sure. U.S. auto manufacturers for sure. You know, like Trump said, it's, you know, we got the liquid gold underneath their feet. And, you know, just as I've been, you know, looking into just the auto market, the vehicles that lose the highest value are all the electric vehicles. And then I just want to say this about Trump, because a lot of people are acting like, oh, he's just here to make his friends rich. You know, he's boys with Elon. In his inauguration speech, he's proudly saying he's ending the EV mandate. And so who is the biggest EV manufacturer? Tesla. And it's, you know, Trump, I mean, Musk, who, you know, he's become good friends with. So, I mean, this just kind of speaks. He's not playing favoritisms to his friends to make them rich. He wants to do what's best for America.
100%.
Yeah, and I think it's to go back to like what you were saying about the AI infrastructure. I mean, and I think it's good to, one, you have a team, you need unity in the team. But I think it's also okay, like we can be on the same team, but we can disagree at times. You know, shortly after President Trump announced the $500 billion into the AI infrastructure, Elon come out and says, you know, he's just questioning whether or not they got to actually have enough money to be able to get it off the ground. You know, he's got a different brain, a different mind. He's obviously involved in these things. So I think it's just because it's the point counterpoint, right? Trump has a tendency to be all in with all of his ideas. And he's got people around that are like, no, just because you said it might not be the greatest thing, right? And then on the other side is, you know, we also need to be careful as citizens, right? We don't want a king, right? So the executive orders can only go so far for so long. He needs to make sure that he rallies Congress, he rallies the Senate, and gets the support to really push this thing forward. Because, you know, we need legislation to be changed. We have a lot of regulation that needs to disappear. And he's going to need Congress and the Senate to help him do that. So
2 years at least, right? But we'll see what happens, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at a networking event and I heard a local Florida representative. He was making this comparison that the United States is looking like Florida, and Jacksonville is basically what Florida looks like. So Jacksonville thus is what America is, or what America is trending towards. Obviously, Trump is a citizen of Florida. And so what we do here locally in this state, in this city, you know, it you know, makes, you know, waves all the way up to Washington, D.C. You know, it's a very diverse city. We have urban areas, we have rural areas, we have all types of ethnicities, all types of cultures. We have blue collar, we have white collar. I know that the city's been doing a lot to bring in, you know, the kind of financial type of businesses, and tech is something that the city has been trying to do for a long time. So it's just exciting to be we're like at the forefront of the direction that Trump is trying to turn this country into, where he talks about the golden age of America, and Jacksonville is you know, the kind of the benchmark for that.
It's called the Gulf of Jacksonville then.
Right? Gulf of Jacksonville.
the Gulf of St. John's.
Yeah.
There we go. The Gulf, you know, let's do it.
Yeah, Gulf of America. I do like the ring of that, but I don't know. That means St. John's and Jacksonville have to take over the state of Florida. I'm not sure we're ready to do that. But,
well, we'll try to be in the armpit though.
Yeah. It's time for Jacksonville to grow up a little bit, but you know, we're all working on that.
100%.
Yeah. The last thing is, and this is an underrated thing, I think, just in kind of the general populace of, like, when he was talking about the Panama Canal and taking that over, that and he didn't really talk much about Greenland in his inauguration speech. I know that the citizens of Greenland seem to be pretty open to the prospect of being under a territory of U.S. You know, we'll see if that definitely happens, but just kind of protecting U.S. interest, you know, that's a true leader there. Like, he cares about us as citizens. It's not, you know, it's not it's a world economy in some regards, but, you know, America has to be sovereign. We have to respect our borders. We have to respect our economy. And when America thrives, the world thrives. When we are a leader economically, the world is prospering.
Yeah.
So I just love everything that I'm hearing so far. It's going to be exciting. And then I'm sure, you know, it's probably already in the works of, like, the succession planning, because if this thing goes 4 years and then all of a sudden we kind of revert back to a 180 to kind of what it was before, you know, that's not what we want. So, you know, definitely we need everyone to step up, do their thing, and just kind of carry this forward, whether that's going to be Vance or, you know, whoever the next up and comer is going to be taking over after these 4 years. But as business leaders, you know, we need to make sure that we're doing everything we can to lead, so that in the next, you know, in 2 years are already campaigning for the next president, where the American people don't forget, you know, the prosperity that we're having now, because of the changes and the decisions and the leadership that's in office.
You know, it's funny, not funny that you say that, but it's cool that you say that, because, you know, the future belongs to the entrepreneur. Because if you think about the opportunities the entrepreneur provides to communities, to towns, man, to cities and states, it's unbelievable to see the impact one entrepreneur can have in downtown, as, you know, they build and we take over as things gets better. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody out there that's saying, man, should I start that business? Should I go all in? You should definitely go all in, because your city definitely needs you to go all in. 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, the best time to start a business or to step out and to achieve your goals is when you have the thought. You know, you start laying the groundwork, laying the infrastructure that you're going to need to be able to do that, because you are going to create jobs. You're going to create opportunities for yourself, for your family, for your legacy. And too many people get caught up in the fear factor of, you know, I'm not ready yet, or I haven't done it before. So because I haven't done it, I can't do it. So I think that's what you're going to see in the course of the next 4 years. You're going to see new businesses start, new opportunities thrive. And because it's like real estate, right? The global economy, the nation economy, right? At the end of the day, you don't care what the NASDAQ is doing if you don't have any money.
Yeah.
You know,
take advantage of it either way.
It's very personal to you. You know, nationally, you know, home values are still kind of creeping up a little bit. Locally, we're not seeing the same increase, right? And there's different pockets of Florida that are seeing decreases, right? So it's important to watch, but to the individual, it's what's happening in my life, what's happening in my world, what's happening underneath my roof, and that's why it's important for people not to sit around and wait for somebody else to do it for them, but take advantage of the opportunities that you have as a citizen of this country and go out and do something with
For
it.
sure.
100%. 100%.
Yeah,
Build it.
I want to talk about immigration enforcement.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that Trump has already done was
Tough subject.
close the border.
Yeah.
Like something that he got a lot of
A lot of flack.
for the first time, because yes, he was doing things to build the wall, but
Mhm.
people wish he would have done more. So our main company does a lot of construction services, roofing, and most of our labor force are minorities. Now, you and I have personal experience from immigration. My mom immigrated here from another country, from Vietnam, and she's a U.S. citizen. She had a green card for a long time. You weren't born here in the States, and you had to go through an immigration process, you and your family. But a lot of people would make the argument like, oh, wow, we got to let people in because, no one wants the jobs and everything. But I really disagree with that, because if there's an opportunity and there's income to be made, people are going to, find that opportunity. Yes, a lot of minorities, especially those from Central and South America, get into the construction trades jobs. But I want to get y'all's thought on, the immigration enforcement that's happening right now with Trump, and what do you guys think about that? And how you think it affects the construction industries?
Well, it's going to affect it, no doubt about it. We're already seeing it, especially in the form of just even some of our crew leaders, people that we've talked to just ahead of time that some have left the state. They did that even back when DeSantis decided that he was going to enforce his own immigration type things and do a crackdown on illegal immigration and stuff. And we saw some crews, pack up and leave. Hey, we're going to go somewhere where they're not doing that, right? And so it increased, so that actually can do some good things, because the good solid legal crews, they stick around, they do the right things. It's going to give them an advantage to some degree, maybe not so much for the consumer, because depending on the deportation, depending on who who's able to stay and go and how all that works out, then if there's more demand for me needing crews and they've got the control, they're going to be more expensive for me to do jobs, plain and simple, which then that's just going to have to be worked into our pricing. Roofing is already expensive enough as it is. And we don't like to see those prices go up, but that's just part of the whole process. I think one of these days we should talk about, it's a price versus value, because we're still not pricing roofing where it really should be from the true value standpoint of what it really costs to do roofing. And if people really knew what those costs were, they'd really not want to pay to put on a roof, right? And it's so, but yeah, it's going to affect us. There's no doubt about it. And we're already seeing some effects of that. We're already seeing where that exactly goes. I'm not sure, and how good or bad it will be. We'll know more as things progress. But I know we're already feeling it, because it's already been a subject for a while now.
Yeah, it has been, and we lost some crews back when we were doing, it was a few years ago when DeSantis did his thing. We had some crews that left, but what we also found is our production and the quality of the work that we got for the crews that remained, that were here legally and had all the proper documentation, had all the proper licenses, had all the proper insurances, and all of those things. And our production increased, our quality increased, and we were able to maintain a profit margin that made sense. So I think when you have a closed border with legal immigration, we can then begin to choose the right people that can come into our home. I lock my door every day. When I come home from work, I lock my door. When I go to sleep, I make sure both locks are locked. And I think it just makes sense that we would do that with the country. And can you add value to what we're doing here? And if we can do that, and then we can focus in on the citizens that were born here, have immigrated here, that need our help, that should be here. Well, let's help them. Let's lift them up and use some of these resources and things that we're going to help those. And we can't even count them.
Yeah.
We don't know how many people have have came in.
Millions for sure.
We don't know how many
Millions,
people have came in that
millions.
don't like this country.
Yeah, multiplied millions,
that's
man.
just it. Criminals,
Millions,
and I think
millions.
that's where the initial focus is in anyway. It's not just round up everybody they can find and get rid of them. He made it clear where they're going to be targeting is criminals, drug cartel people, people with those type of affiliations, backgrounds, things of that nature that are here that we really don't honestly want here. Let's just face it. They're not here to do a job. They're here to hurt the country, cause issues, whatever it is, bring fentanyl in, all those things,
I think he officially named them terrorists. What he said?
The drug cartels. So that's gonna that was huge because that's gonna allow the law enforcement to actually, investigate them and go after them in a different way than they could before to really try to help exterminate those problems.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't understand too. You bring up the cartels and the drug crisis. So the vast majority of the precursor chemicals that are used to make fentanyl, they're coming from China. So they come from China, they come through South America.
China's always involved, bro.
and then they come across the border, and we had 100,000 people die from fentanyl overdoses last year.
Yeah.
Right. Like
it's an absolute crisis.
Right. So if you know where the problem's coming from, you know who's supporting it. Well, then what do? You shut the door.
Right.
You shut the door, you cut off funding and say, hey, we're going to have to fix this problem. And once we can fix this problem, then we can move forward with our relationship.
Yeah. And I think, it solves a lot of issues and problems, but there's also like a personal note because, you have friends that they may have come in and you've developed a friendship, and it's like, man, they're probably going to, be deported. And it's like that personal strain is tough because, you realize this is actually a very good person and he's a good person to society. But at the same time, the law is the law. But what's also crazy is though, we do have a generation of people who are very entitled. So when these guys come from Mexico and they're dominating the market and they're like, there's no jobs for us. Well, are you really doing what you need to be doing?
Yeah.
Or are you just, taking somebody else's quote and using it to say this and that? But are you really wanting to work and grind? Because man, if we're honest, man, they're hard workers.
Yeah.
They're diligent. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, immigration is to make America better.
For sure.
And there's a process.
Yeah.
There are instances where America gets involved in a conflict, like my mom's situation in Vietnam.
Yeah.
America had a heart to save the South Vietnamese people from the communist North that was invading and taking over. And unfortunately, that war was lost. So America, through their through their heart and kindness, took in refugees because they were asylum seekers, because they were true refugees. Now, the people, even good people who aren't part of the cartels and, doing a lot of, committing felonies, they still have to go through the right process. Everyone needs, so if they came here and they didn't follow the right process, they did break the law. So I agree. Unfortunately, there's going to be people who are probably, good people just in general, who are going to get deported.
Yeah.
And I've even dealt with that as well. With my mom, she had her second husband was an immigrant who came here on a visa in 2001 after 9/11. He was wrongfully deported. Because they did a big deportation back then. And unfortunately, those things happen. And through the process, we were able to get that overturned. Unfortunately, things didn't work out with the relationship, because it was years in when it all resolved the way it was supposed to. But that's just part of it. So to protect America, protect our economy, protect our citizens, it is the right thing to do.
For sure.
To there's integrity there that needs to be followed for what's right for America.
Yeah. And he declared it a state of emergency, correct?
Yeah.
So it's
all right. Let's last thing. Let's talk about tariffs. I know you mentioned this a little bit last week, Wes, on how that could affect us directly, our roofing services. In general, I'm all for it. Again, Trump's talking about America first, where it's not an even trade where U.S. is paying all these tariffs to all these other countries. We're getting taxed on exports, imports, where other countries are not paying their fair share. So we've been making the world wealthy to the detriment of American citizens, and that has changed. That's what he's speaking right now. Wes, why don't you give me your thoughts on just that general statement, and then how that kind of affects a lot of the construction materials that we use?
Well, so from what I'm really trying to, get educated on tariffs and understand really what Trump's initial progress is, what he wants to do. And it doesn't seem to be as blanket as everybody's putting it, as far as he's just going to go put 30% tariffs on anything that comes from China, and therefore, doomsday, right? If American companies that could produce what they need to produce, if they export, all of their, everything over to China for them to do the labor, them to build it and everything else, then when it comes back here, then it's going to get tariffed hard, right? Because it should be produced in America, made in America, right?
For sure.
But listen, I just watched this video of the guy that owns Van Boxel Building Supply. So he's a third-party guy that sells direct label, underlayment, nails, lead boots, stuff like that for a lot of our roofing products and stuff like that. And he was talking about how tariffs can affect him because he gets all of his stuff from India, right? And most everything comes from there. But he said the problem isn't that they can't do it here. The problem is that he went down there and actually saw the plant where they make this stuff. And on just one machine alone, this big machine putting out all this stuff, there's like 20 people working at it. And the owner said, hey, what are you paying people in America if you were to put all this together, whatever? And he's like, well, it'll take 20 people. You're probably paying them $20 an hour, which is not necessarily an awesome wage in America.
Yeah.
But we'd like to pay him more, but $20 an hour, we could probably do that. And I guess the guy laughed and he goes, all of this labor here is less than $20 an hour put together.
Jeez.
So there you go, on a silver platter right there.
Jeez.
20 people working for less than what one American will do as production and what he's got to get paid here to survive.
Crazy.
And so, if we can't solve that problem, tariffs aren't going to be the only way to do it. It'll bring more money in on products that we should be trying to figure out here how to build and manufacture and do. But so I think there's got to be a level, and GAF owns Corning, most of their products and minerals and things that they get to build everything, they come obviously from across the seas, and so therefore those items will probably be tariffed, which just means, and I've already heard that they're working on their first of the year price increase. Before it even affects them, we get the price increase, right? So they're ahead of that game. They know what's coming, and that is automatically going to affect prices for everybody. We can't help it. Hey, listen, we're in business to be in business. We're in business to be capitalists, make money, not take advantage of people and be greedy. But hey, we're living the American dream, trying to make it.
For sure.
And so when those prices go up and it's just going to cost more, then it's just going to cost more for me to have to sell that same product to somebody else. It's just that's common sense. There's that word again, right? But that's how I think it's going to affect us. I don't see it in every single everyday product and certain things. It's going to be very selective of how they do that. Just depends on how high those tariffs are and what they really, really dive after.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that I don't think has been spoken about a whole lot is what tariffs actually do, right? Tariffs bring reasonable leaders to the table to have conversations on how they can support each other. Back in 2000, I think it was 2018, there was a tariff that was put in place to protect steel manufacturers. Well, what that ended up doing was bring European leaders to the table to how can this be mutually beneficial to everyone. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that is what President Trump is trying to do, is let's make things fair. Let's make it equal.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, you're going to have those. Like, China's not going to probably want to sit at the table. And you're going to hear, oh, it's a trade war because of the tariffs. Well, guess what? There's other places that we can trade with, right? And eventually Americans, hopefully, will say, you know what? We don't need $5 widgets from Temu every 17 minutes of our life. We'll be more responsible with our money. We'll buy products that last. We'll buy products that are made here, or at least made through relationships that we have with other trading partners that actually like us and want to see us do well.
Yeah, we'll bring the money back into the U.S. That's one of the ways to do it. Why send all of our stuff down there to be built and then pay them all the money? They get to keep it all. It doesn't make any sense to me. We got to buy it back at a higher rate, and that just affects everybody. So yeah, you're right. It's got to be fair, and it opens up those conversations, and hopefully those type of things will minimize themselves before we start worrying about how bad the tariffs are going to hit our pocketbooks across the board. So
it's actually the blessing of having a businessman as our president. You know what I mean? The guy looks at things very analytically and see how he get the best bang for our buck.
Yeah. What's not fair for America needs to stop, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I love the fact that he's a real estate guy. I read we don't have it today, but there was an article I read yesterday from HomeWire. You know, they estimate that 25% of the cost of a new construction residential home, about 25% of that is a byproduct of unnecessary regulation. Right. So if he comes in and he starts making it easier to do commerce, easier to build.
Yeah. The other things,
a byproduct of that, it becomes cheaper.
Yeah.
So if there is an increase in roofing material from tariffs imposed on Canada, but we can reduce the regulation and save 25% of the cost of the build, then in a new construction scenario, it should be a wash.
Absolutely.
And
Or
actually
even
benefit the buyer or benefit the builder, so we can make more money, offer better incentives for investors to come in and build homes for long-term rentals or their forever home, whatever the case may be. So it's when you just look at tariffs are bad, or if you just look at regulation, it's all part of a bigger system, because everything you do over here affects this side of the table. You know,
absolutely.
And talking about the best bang for our buck, how about that house in Jack's Beach? Is it the Spite House? How you pronounce that?
Yeah, the Spite House. So I found this article. A lot of people have written about it, but this one's coming from New York Times. So it starts off in the quiet, sandy streets near Jack's Beach. A towering 10-foot wide house stands as a bold middle finger to the neighborhood. So 10 foot wide.
Crazy.
I think this desk is probably 5.5 feet. So it's like almost, it's almost two widths of this desk, So I think we got a picture up on the screen, but like this house was wild. It's sold for $619,000. Just closed pretty recently, and I think the lot is only 20 feet. And the developer who's had it, the neighbors have been trying to buy from what I understand from the story. Neighbors in this, Jacksonville Beach neighborhood. It's not like the most affluent, neighborhood in Jack's Beach. I mean, but it is Jack's Beach, which is a pretty expensive part of the area. But they were trying to buy this lot from the developer. He wanted to build it. He was trying to get a variance to get 15 feet width. And everybody was pushing back. You couldn't get the local building department to grant him, so he can only build it within the current setbacks. So he built a house that's only 10 feet wide on this really narrow lot.
Yeah,
it's really deep. I forget how deep it is. It might be about 40 or 50 feet deep.
50-something feet deep. Like
and
20 foot high.
19 feet tall. And 19 feet isn't that tall, but a lot of the houses in the area are just like little rancher one stories. So if you see the picture from the aerial, it does kind of tower over the neighborhoods. But I respect this guy. I respect this developer for doing something like that. He didn't cave in to the local pressures to sell it, So, but the person who bought it seems to be pretty happy. I think he's a bachelor now, and it just works for him. What do you think about this house?
But do you think that's gonna be like if they do develop that and to make a whole, you know what I mean?
Well, in that particular scenario, I mean that was a one-off lot, but I think it does go back to what I would consider a private property right issue. Like if you own the land, you should be able to build
whatever you want.
And we know that doesn't necessarily happen, all the time. And there's rules and there's things. That's why they didn't allow for a wider house.
He didn't build a piece of crap on it either. He built, this thing's like
nice.
It's modern, it's luxurious,
it's
got all the right thoughts with the windows and it's all AI driven. It's he used wood from one of the piers that got destroyed in the hurricane to build the table. That's built into the. It's just a lot of cool thought.
Yeah, the architecture
all that
for sure.
For 1,500 square feet for $600,000, $700,000. Yeah. Okay, way to go, Jack's Beach.
But people love
one little tall home over $700,000. It's crazy, but good investment for him. And out of spite, I think that's just hilarious. But the city, he had to make some changes because his original design, I guess, didn't go through. But so he had to make sure it all matched. But hey, he got it done. I think people always got to have something to complain about. That's just the bottom line.
100%. Too many Karens. But people love tiny homes. Smaller homes are like, a big deal now. There's so much, I remember I was driving down, if you guys don't live in Jacksonville, but in Orange Park, there are tiny homes, coming up all over the place. And so I think it's something interesting that people are going to venture in.
Yeah. Let's talk about another unique thing. There's an article that I saw the other day that really caught my interest. It was this this mural on top of a flat roof in Miami
Yeah.
of what looks like. Have you guys seen the butterflies?
Oh,
like
yeah.
people who collect them and they're in those glass little
Mhm.
kind of containers. Well, the mural of this roof in Miami, I think we got a picture up, looks exactly like one of those things. And we're not in the tallest building. I think we're 11-story building here. But you can once you get up there, you can see the roofs of buildings that are below you. And for the most part, especially in these really highly dense urban areas,
Mhm.
those roofs are pretty ugly. And so they're dirty, just
Oh.
like look nasty. I mean, they look beautiful,
Mhm.
from the ground level looking up, but a lot of people have this view that's different, like looking down on top of these roofs. And in Miami, this particular one, it's a new thing. I thought it was extremely creative,
Yeah.
very beautiful.
Mhm.
I'm sure all the neighboring buildings, all the tenants are like really loving it. And it could be like a new thing within these urban
100%.
spaces to do
100%.
these murals on top of roofs.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it?
Well,
Go ahead.
no,
I'm just looking at the roof.
Yeah, I look at this roof over here all the time.
I wish we can pan to that, but
Yeah, and it's interesting, when you look at just the cost of having an artist come in and do something like that. It's one of those things that isn't, you're not going to get an ROI on it, but you're going to get some attention.
Especially when you start doing roof repairs.
That's what'd you put on that roof? Did you just void your warranty? That's a conversation that we got to have. But no, I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. To me, it just shows that there are, people that would do things just because they care. They're created to make things better. They're created to make things beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm
think
not
it's-
that guy. I don't know how to draw a stick figure straight. I think it's cool.
I think
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's cool, and we did a project in Orlando or Daytona actually, the Top Gun Volusia gun store. It's it's a big building. Everybody kind of knows what it is down there.
Yeah,
all the airplanes
Mhm.
have fly over it when they
Yeah.
come in, and he wanted his logo put up there. We didn't commission a painter to do it. We just used some different color TPO. Kind of came up with a clever idea to put his big emblem and logo up
Which is
there.
cool.
That kind of showcases his building. That was really cool for us to do that. I think we might even have a picture up of it. So that's I love the concept, the idea.
Yeah.
Go up there, keep it clean every once in a while. I mean, why not just add beauty to things, like you said, rather than just looking at an ugly roof, tar black roof all the time. I'm cool with it. I'm great. I don't know what the cost of that was. It was probably very expensive, and all those owners are sharing in it. But if you live in that building, you probably you probably can make that happen, I would guess. But
Yeah, I think it's definitely a statement piece, especially being in Miami, the 305. That's huge, because there's constant drone footage, just aerials all the time. And that being, which we talk about branding, media, marketing all the time. And it's one of those things to brand yourself as a standout or, one of a few that's done this. I mean, there will be ROI because it's creative. I think people will search, man, what is that? Why did they do that? And I think that will, bring interest to their brand.
I think we commission the guy and we find the next, building that's going to be built, and we go, negotiate to make that happen. Why
Yeah.
not? That's awesome.
For real.
It'll become a thing. Obviously,
100%.
I think it'll become a thing.
I think if it's like a warehouse out in the middle of nowhere, like really far
Yeah.
west of Jax,
Mm.
probably not worth the investment to do something like that. But
Yeah.
like, the gun store that we did, like you said, it's right off of we're 495 that exchange. It's in direct path of the Daytona
Speedway.
airport.
Yeah,
So
and
all those
Speedway.
planes coming in,
Mhm.
private planes to the big 747s, they see that roof,
Mhm.
they see that emblem. And we need to get an update from Ron, the building owner, just to see if he's got a lot of feedback. from
Yeah,
it.
right.
That was
Yeah,
a fun
'cause it was
project,
huge.
50,000 square foot building. We had a great time, with that one. But man, let's bring the news back home.
Mhm.
Let's talk about our beloved Jags. I hope you guys love my hat. I got this from my mother-in-law for Christmas. Thanks, Peggy. But let's talk about the where we're at with the coaching
Peggy's
search
crazy.
with the Jags.
Yeah.
There's
I
been
think they're going to have you do it.
have me be the coach.
That's what I heard.
I don't know enough about football. I mean, I could coach a basketball team, but a football team,
I think maybe that's what we need is someone that's humble enough to say they don't know what they're doing.
Honestly,
I don't know.
we lost Ben Johnson, man.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I was going to say is he was the top candidate of what we wanted, and
100%.
I guess after meeting with us, he decided that did not align with what he wanted to do. I don't know, what the details of that.
They said it was the front office.
Yeah,
they said the front office. He said he knew and worked, and so and then the Bears said we'll do whatever you need, which is man. You see the culture though. You know what I mean? Like we want to. Why do we want to stay dysfunctional? Yeah. I don't get it. Like, you know what I mean?
He definitely was the top candidate, so he had more options than
100%.
a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
And then I just saw Liam Cohen, the Bucs offensive coordinator, who fully revived Baker Mayfield. I mean, Baker Mayfield was solid last year, but this year killed it. Like 4,500 yards,
100%
killed it. Now he dropped out because he renewed his contract with the Bucs. So there's like two names that we know of that are in the news that's still in the running. One is Robert Saleh, and the other is Patrick Graham. Patrick Graham, I don't even know why he's on the list. He was the defensive coordinator for the Raiders.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what happened with the Raiders, but I feel like they sucked this year.
Thank you very much.
And then their head coach.
Go Broncos.
Yeah, 100%.
But Robert Saleh, I actually like Robert Saleh. I do. And let me just share my thoughts.
Okay,
so,
please, because
I don't think he got. Unfortunately, it's NFL, and last year when they got Aaron Rodgers, a lot of excitement. Aaron Rodgers goes down the first play, first series of the season, and didn't have a good year because they were trying to play Zach Wilson, I believe, and just things didn't work out. This year, Rodgers comes back, people are excited, and it just didn't work out. But I love how he had poise. I loved his confidence and his post game, all the interviews, even though they had a lot of losing.
Yeah.
I felt good. I felt like he still had the respect of the team. Obviously, the owner, I think he kind of just went over the GM and made that decision. I thought maybe there was going to be a turnaround and they got rid of him. But I was looking at Bill Belichick. Now, I'm not comparing this guy to Bill Belichick by any means, but Bill Belichick, he didn't come out in his first coaching stint and just killed it.
Yeah.
He had 5 years with Cleveland.
Yep.
Only one winning season. They made a playoffs. Then the next season they had a losing record again. I think they only won 5 games. Then he got fired or whatever happened. And then Belichick, 5 years later, he goes to New England, and everyone knows what happened in New England with, a model franchise, 6 Super Bowls, just did phenomenal with it. And I'm not saying Robert Saleh is going to be similar, have a similar thing, but I just want to point out, you can't really judge somebody's future potential based off the past. Now, it's good data, but I don't think it necessarily 100% is going to indicate whether they're going to be a good coach in another opportunity in another team. Obviously, just like Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think of Robert Saleh? I don't think when I said that, I didn't feel like I got I think he's going to be good. But what are you guys thinking right now with the Jags?
Specifically him, the only reason why, and I get it. I think it was a bigger move that happened. But I heard that him and Roger didn't get along. And obviously, I don't think Roger gets along with a lot of people anyway. He's just a very honorary guy, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it just seems like he struggles with that department and being personal and stuff like that. But the thing is, we need somebody proven. Man, we really need somebody proven. We need somebody that can actually lead men. And obviously, how Ben Campbell did in Detroit, we need somebody like that. It's just an absolute dog. And my only fear is we keep going with what could work and skeptics versus getting a guy. And obviously, the head coach that we probably want is probably a head coach at another, another football team. So we can't we're not throwing any wishful prayers, but we just need, we need a dog. And Vrabel, I think Vrabel could have been.
Oh, he would have been a great coach.
You know what I mean? Because he's a man's man.
Coach,
yeah, I feel like he speaks into stuff. But we'll see.
Out of the 3 candidates, I would be more biased to Cohn only because he's an offensive play caller. The other 2 are defensive. Jaguars struggle on figuring out an offense that can make play calls, do the right, get things done right. I would think out of, for me, those are he's the best choice out of the 3 logical, or the 3 that they got, but they're not the 3 strongest ones that they should be, that they could have on the table.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what the answer is. If it's all because of Balky, so how you say him, right?
Balky.
Mhm.
Balky.
Yeah.
I guess
If it's
so.
all because we can't get top talent from a coaching standpoint
Mhm.
because they can't align with whatever he's putting out, then right then and there, that should be a sign on the wall. I don't care how much you like him. I don't care how great a guy he is. I don't care how
No
good,
one likes
I don't
him.
care how great he's even good at what he does.
Yeah.
If nobody likes him and nobody wants to align with him, let him go somewhere else where he can align better.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure he's still got plenty of years to do good things in the league. I'm sure he's a smart guy. He wouldn't be in that position in the first place.
For sure.
But like you said, we just can't keep going through coaches every 2 years, wishing and hoping to find the right one. There has to be something in there that starts to click, and it just hasn't been able to click. I don't know, this just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm going to go back. I'm just going to echo last week. The 25 season, the 26 season, the 27 season is going to be just filled with so many distractions.
Mhm.
So if you're offering me the job to come in as the head coach, and you're not going to let me speak into who the GM is going to be and what the rest of the organization is going to look like, and you're telling me we're going to have limited capacity because of the construction project, and you're telling me if I'm lucky enough to make it to year 3, I got to go play somewhere else for that season. I mean, there's a lot. So just having an opportunity, you would think, oh, it's, a head coach in the NFL is one of the most coveted jobs that you could want, right? The coach and the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every little boy wants to be one of those. But now now the real world comes into play that I know if I don't succeed and I don't perform, I'm going to be out.
Yeah.
Right. And for many people, losing that position as a head coach, right, that's a career ender. You're back down in a high school level somewhere, right? So you don't want to take a step and take a risk. So the guy in Tampa, I'll just stay here. Like, I know you, I know the team, I know the system. There's not all of these other distractions that are coming into play. And I honestly, when you look at, I think they're going to bring somebody in. I think they're going to get them cheap. And I don't think whoever we hire in the next probably couple of weeks, I don't think they're going to be here in 3 years.
Yeah,
that's very possible.
And I don't know that we're going to win 8 games in the next 3 years. That's what I'm saying.
But is that good? Was it?
Well, I just went to the book of knowledge, ChatGPT, to see what the average tenure is for an NFL head coach is 3 to 4 years.
Mhm.
And you made great points last week, and as you just restated them now, the Jags are going through a renovation of the stadium. They may not be playing. They won't be playing in that stadium, I think, in 26 or 27.
Yep.
Mhm.
So if a coach comes in, and it's almost like, if you think about, you guys probably don't follow the Philadelphia 76ers like I do, when they were like really
Nobody does.
stacking their talent,
Mhm.
and they had a coach,
Oh, yeah.
I think Bruce Brown, and he did everything in the rebuild to get them to the next level. Then they fired him for a sexy coach.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think any head coach right now
Mhm.
knows that's probably going to happen. You take this Jags job. So should the Jags just basically deplete their payroll, get rid of Trevor, just stack up picks to get ready for 2028 for that season? I don't know.
Yeah.
They're going to look great in
Mhm.
2028 when that right behind us when that $1.5 billion stadium's done.
Yeah.
But right now,
Stadium will look great. That does not mean the team
team's
will.
gonna-
be.
Yeah, but people want to come play in the new facilities because it's going to get a lot of hype.
Mhm.
People will love that. So I think that will look really opportunistic to free agents to want to come and play here. But like for these next 3 years, it's not.
Yeah, but I got a hot take on that though. I think if there was ever a time to be playful and to rebuild, it's actually right now, because even though they're not going to be in their stadium, I think just the fact that they're away and doing different stuff, that gives them an opportunity to kind of figure out what their culture really is, to figure out who they really are. And as they come back, to the stadium in 2028, I actually think that'll be a time where they can show them what they're made of. But I think because they kind of have excuses the next 2 years. We don't have a home. We're doing this. We're doing that. So it's a good time to kind of, if I'm an offensive coordinator, I'm throwing every trick play I can every game. And just enjoy the game, because one of the things that they always say about the Jacksonville Jaguars is, they stop having fun. They stop caring. They quit on each other. They quit. You know what I mean? And I think rebuilding that culture, man, is it Brian Thomas Jr.? Am I saying the name right? LSU wide receiver. I think it's him for sure. Absolute dog. Dog, come on.
Nah, I don't know.
Absolute dog. He's an absolute dog. And so like having him, man, sign him to a rookie contract. He's gonna be there for the next 3-4 years. Man, I think he's gonna be an absolute stud. So I think they have phenomenal pieces around Trevor. If Trevor's the guy, I actually don't think Trevor's the guy, but if Trevor's the guy, he has pieces around him to. I think next 2 years they go have fun, man, and see what happens.
Here's what I want the Jags to do next year: just be the best NFL team in Florida. Like the NFL team, like as far as talent wise,
No way.
and as a franchise.
Yeah.
I will say, even though our stadium is horrible and they're going to do the upgrade, even in its current condition, is better than the Bucs Stadium. I don't know if you guys ever been to the Bucs Stadium.
Yeah.
Miami Stadium, the Hard Rock, it's not even that great of a stadium. I've been to both for Taylor Swift concerts, but with my kids, not just for me.
Okay.
But if we can be better than the Dolphins next year, and I think what the Bucs did this year was a fluke. Even though we were trying to get their offensive coordinator's coach, I don't think the Bucs are going to sustain what they did. So let's be the best team in Florida next year. That's my rallying call.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Tua may have something to say about that. We'll
To be seen.
to be seen.
All right, there you have it. DeVore Live, brought to you by DeVore Media, sponsored by DeVore Capital, your leading construction real estate development company based out of downtown Jacksonville, Florida, covering the whole entire state with our services. Appreciate you guys. Great job today. Until next time, peace out, peace and love. 2025, we're here. New president. A lot of hope going on right now in the country, in the city.
Make America great again, baby.
Yes, sir.
The golden
America
age.
first.